As she had every morning for 7 days, Sam reached across the bed, looking for Nick, finding his side of the bed cold and unoccupied. He would be home from his trip to Europe later that day. Thank God. In his absence, she'd been forced to make do with rushed FaceTime conversations on their son Scotty's phone, texts, and the press coverage of the trip that had included an audience with Queen Elizabeth. Sam had been sorry to miss the chance to meet a woman she idolized, but she'd remained at home to care for their son, Scotty, as well as Alden and Aubrey, the 5-year-old twins who'd recently become part of their family after their parents were murdered. At this early hour, Scotty and the twins were still sleeping, but the younger kids would be up soon. She'd put the time away from work to good use, getting the Littles, as Nick had nicknamed the twins, back on a schedule that included a return to their kindergarten class. Dr. Truleau, the Metro Police Department psychiatrist, had helped her find a qualified therapist who would work with the children together and individually to help them cope with their terrible loss. And she'd fielded phone calls from their mother's family members, who were suddenly concerned about the children's well-being, now that the men responsible for their parents' murders had been brought to justice. Sam couldn't stand hypocrites, and had gritted her teeth each time a member of a family that had initially expressed no concern whatsoever for the children called to check on them. Fortunately, the twins' parents had made their older brother, Elijah, their legal guardian, and he'd asked Sam and Nick to serve as the children's custodial guardians while he finished college at Princeton. What would happen after he graduated, Sam didn't know and couldn't think about. Not now, when the children needed everything she and Nick and their devoted assistant Shelby had to give them to get their lives back on track, or as close to it as they could get without their beloved parents. One step at a time, she told herself, just as she often did while working a homicide investigation. The activity with the Littles had been good for her, as she served out a 7-day suspension for taking in the children of her murder victims. Something she'd do again in a hot second. Was it a conflict of interest? Absolutely. But she hadn't thought about that when she saw 2 babies in need of something she could give them. It had only taken a few days after she brought them home for everyone associated with their household to fall in love with the twins. She moved from her pillow to Nick's, which bore faint remnants of his distinctive cologne, the scent of home. If her time zone calculations were correct, he would be on Air Force 2 by now, about to begin the 7-hour flight home from France. Her phone rang, and she wondered if it was him, telling her he'd be home soon. Greedy for anything from him that she could get after a week apart, she grabbed the phone and flipped it open without checking the caller ID.